Welcome to the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy. My name is Hidon Gracie, and this is my brother Henner.
In the late 1920s, our grandfather, Eliu Gracie, created Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, an incredible system of self-defense designed to empower the weak against the strong. Then, in 1993, our father, Horion Gracie, created the Ultimate Fighting Championship to showcase the effectiveness of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to the world. And finally, in 2008, my brother and I decided it was time to teach our family system to the world, so we developed Gracie Combatives, the most comprehensive at-home instructional DVD series ever produced for self-defense.
And on top of that, we created GracieUniversity.com, where students can ask questions, find training partners, and test for official belt promotions from anywhere in the world.
But it wasn't until we stumbled upon a shocking statistic released by the National Education Association that we realized it was time to do something equally impactful for children.
The NEA stated that over 160,000 kids miss school every day out of fear of bullies.
Researchers also found that 75% of school shootings could be linked to bullying, and that adults who were bullied as children had much higher levels of depression and much lower self-esteem than those who weren't.
So the worst part isn't even the bullying. It's the psychological trauma that can last a lifetime.
If your child is targeted by a bully, the first and most important thing they must do is stand up for themselves verbally. But the problem is that most children won't have the confidence to do this unless they can defend themselves physically, and that's where this program comes into play.
Most parents feel when their child learns a martial art, they will get into more fights. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Tell them why.
We've taught thousands of kids, some of whom came to us as bullies. But invariably, we found that the more they learned and the more confident the kids became, the less likely they were to get into fights. Now, when Hiro and I decided it was time to do this fully comprehensive at-home program for kids, we were troubled for quite some time because we realized that most kids wouldn't have the discipline or the necessary training partner to complete the program on their own. Then it dawned on us that the absolute only way to make it work would be if we taught you, the parents, how to teach your children.
So you can give your child the exact same learning experience that our father gave us.
Now, this sounds a lot easier than it actually was because up until now, we had never documented the intricacies of our father's child teaching methodologies, specifically how he was able to keep us engaged and excited about learning jiu-jitsu from such a young age.
Fortunately, our father had 10 children, 3 of which are currently under 10 years old.
And this gave us the incredibly unique opportunity to watch our father using the exact same teaching methodologies on our little brothers that he used on us.
And now that we've learned his secrets, we want to share them so that you too can raise your child the Gracie way.
Here's our promise. If you follow the advice we've included in this program, your child will no longer be victimized by bullies.
They will become more disciplined,
and their confidence will go through the roof.
Not to mention, the bond between you and your child will increase tremendously.
The strategies you're about to learn worked on us, and we guarantee they will work for you. Grab a chair and let's get started. Altogether, the Gracie Bully-Proof curriculum is comprised of 3 courses: the Gracie Games, Rules of Engagement, and Junior Combatives. And before we get into the teaching methodologies, we'd like to give you kind of a brief summary of each course, starting with the Gracie Games. Hidon, talk about it.
Games. What are games? Games
are fun.
Games gotta be fun. And if you're gonna play a game, why not play a game that is gonna give you something down the line in the future?
Like self-defense against crazy bullies or crazy attackers. When did we start the Gracie Games?
Wow, you can start as soon as the child can stand, you can play a game.
We have a brother right now who does not stand.
We can't wait.
Who has little wobbly knees. And he's playing the Gracie Games. My dad grabs him around, just plays. The whole idea is, the Gracie Games, what's the objective of the Gracie Games? I think it's 2 primary objectives, besides kind of giving them the foundational, understanding of the techniques. When our father played the Gracie Games with us at a very young age, I think what he's told us, what he was trying to accomplish was he wanted to get us comfortable with the closeness. Because jiu-jitsu and self-defense and a fight, if you ever get into one, he who can be most comfortable in that close quarters kind of suffocating feeling wins. And your success in jiu-jitsu relies so much on that if we can get that at an early age, we win. But also, He wanted us to fall in love with the fun aspect of it. Our Father knew, and we are encouraging you to do the same, our Father knew that if He could have us fall in love with the fun aspect of jiu-jitsu, He could later use our excitement about it and our love for it to begin teaching us actual techniques. So the Gracie Games are super undercover ways of having your child fall in love with the fun, aspect of it.
So it was a big trick.
Oh, 100%.
But it was good though. Think about it.
It was the best.
It was a great trick.
And of course, because we started so young, now, I don't know how old your child is. We don't know what you're dealing with, but could be 2, could be 4, could be 12. We don't know. But because we started so young, 2, 3 years old, we were in the Gracie Games for several years until we were 5, 6 maybe, even 7. So the Gracie Games, this playful rolling around that you're going to see us teach you how to play with your kids, these playful games were our jiu-jitsu for up until 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, and it all paid off. It gets to the point where if you're 6 years old and you're comfortable with somebody on top of you holding you down,
yeah,
and then you hit 12, 13, 15.
Yes, once the techniques start to come in, your comfort with that closeness is already established, and all it is now is just an understanding of the new techniques. So, how long do you stay in the Gracie game course? You stay there until they internalize them, and you can see that new techniques are ready to come in. At the end of the Gracie game course, altogether we've included 10 Gracie games, 10 games. Each has 3 levels. You and your child will watch the Gracie game lessons and all future lessons together, by the way. The entire curriculum is designed to be watched by you with your child, and then the techniques or games can be played between the two of you. But either way, there are 10 games total, and you go through one, and they're so playful, your child will pretty much get it the first time. Especially if they're maybe 4 years old, 5 years old. If they're less than that, obviously it's not going to be as accurate as someone who is older, but they'll get it. So anyways, game 1, game 2, each game has 3 levels. Go through the 3 levels, move on to the next one, move on to the next one, and keep climbing through. Once you complete all 10 Gracie games, guess what? Start over. Do them again. How many times? If your child is under 5 years old, keep doing it until they turn 5, 6, or 7, and you see that they've got them all down perfect. And the test of their effectiveness and readiness for advancement is at the end of the Gracie game course, called the Bully Battle, and we describe it in detail at the end of the Gracie game course. You can watch that with your children and see if they're ready.
It should get to the point where you're playing Gracie games out of the house.
Yes.
You could be in the grocery store, and playing a few of the Gracie games is possible to do in the store.
Correct. And once it gets to the point where see, here's the deal.
You don't even have the mats pulled out. You're on the carpet at a friend's house, and you just do 2 of the games real quick, just because. And the child should be almost begging for it.
Yes.
Like, hey, I want to do that game.
Yes.
I want to do that game. And that's a good sign.
Now, whether they're begging for it or not will be completely based on you and the strategies we're going to teach you in this course, in this parent preparation course. So we'll get there in a moment. But for right now, let's be very clear that you stick with the Gracie games from 2 years old, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say around 6 or 7, they say, okay, I've got it. And it gets to the point where they got it down 100%. You don't want them to get bored. So at that point, see, how can they go through the Gracie games 50 times from 2 to 7 years old, 2 to 6 years old? How do we go through it so many times and not get bored? Challenge. Our Father did a really good job of playing with the intensity level and the challenge. And we're going to talk about that as well in more detail. But the challenge, that's how you can keep someone engaged for so long. But it'll get to a point where there is no challenge. They got it down as good as they can possibly get it. And that's when you think about moving on to the junior combatives techniques. Okay? But before you get into the junior combative techniques where they'll begin learning actual grown-up techniques, simplified for children, before they begin learning those more mature techniques, we need your child to understand the rules of engagement. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Once we fell in love with the fun and playful aspect of jiu-jitsu through the Gracie games that our Father played with us, we were ready for the mature adult techniques in what we call the junior combatives course. But before our Father began teaching us these more advanced techniques, He made sure that we understood the philosophy and the rules regarding the use of the techniques, if we ever use them. And for that, we have the rules of engagement. Rules of engagement. And they are: rule number 1, avoid the fight at all costs.
Rule number 2, if physically attacked, defend yourself.
Rule number 3, if verbally attacked, follow the 3 T steps.
Rule number 4, never punch or kick the bully. Establish control and negotiate.
Rule number 5, when applying submissions, use minimal force and negotiate. So there you have it. 5 rules. Later in the Gracie Bully Proof program, we include them in 100% detail, broken down in simple language for your child to understand. As they were explained to us, we will explain them to your child. Now,
Just from that little explanation right there, that little summary, some parents might not agree.
yes, you might
And
not
even
agree.
when they watch the DVD on the rules of engagement, you know what? It's not for us.
Ultimately, the choice is yours, whether you accept our rules of engagement as your own or not. Because ultimately, what your child does is your responsibility. So, teach them something you believe in. We're not saying whether our rules are right or wrong. We're making no claim as to their correctness. We're just claiming that that's what we grew up with. It worked for us, and now we want to share them with you.
And if you don't want to use these rules, create your own rules.
But no matter what, do something. Have some plan. Because here's the deal. I don't care how many techniques you teach your child, self-defense this, self-defense that, they will never defend themselves. They will never use the techniques if they don't feel, if they're afraid of school policy or parent punishment. So unless they know they have your support, your time spent teaching them self-defense is essentially useless because they won't use it. They're too scared that if they get into a fight, they're going to get in trouble. Now, rules of engagement. Although the rules allow for some physicality, for some physical interaction, at certain points, if the bully is very abusive, you have to get physical, right? Although it allows for that, it's very interesting to note that the rules of engagement are the number one reason why we never got into fights. The fact that Hiron and I had a plan that was taught from a very young age and openly discussed in our household, very publicly discussed, meant that when a situation came about where there was a bully or someone who was bugging us, we were so confident, we were so assertive, okay, in our plan and confident with our, you know, with our discontent with the bully's behavior. We stood up for ourselves so well that the bully said, wow, I don't want to fight this kid. I don't want to keep bugging this kid because if I do, it might get to the point where it gets physical. They felt that we were ready to engage.
The bullies from when we were little kids till today, even until today, people can feel there's a certain kind of like,
Yes.
very like, hey,
We're sure. We are sure. So it's fascinating, so important that you understand. Our willingness to engage ensured that we never had to engage. And that's the most important thing about the rules of engagement. Your child has to know exactly when they can and cannot use the techniques, but more importantly, they have to know that they have your support if it ever goes down. And that way, they will literally become bully-proof. It's that simple. Rules of engagement. Accept them as your own. And if you do, be very open about it with your child. It should be a commonly discussed thing. But if you don't, figure something out. Because otherwise you would be doing your child a disfavor by teaching them self-defense and not letting them know when they should and shouldn't use it. So incredible. Rules of engagement. Once fully understood, they will be the number one reason why your child never gets into fights. Because they'll have that confidence in the plan. Confidence in a plan. Once your child understands the philosophy, the rules of engagement, when they can and cannot use the techniques, and if used, how they are allowed to use the techniques, they're ready to begin learning jiu-jitsu. Okay, the mature techniques. Junior combatives. Gracie combatives. Gracie combatives is the program, the curriculum, that all the adult students here at the Academy begin with. It's comprised of the 36 most effective techniques of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And Junior combatives is essentially the exact same thing. Except for number one, the techniques have been greatly simplified. We've taken the same techniques, we've really chopped them down so that kids can understand them. And that means literally a technique that has 100% details, we've taken like 20% and are giving them to the kids.
Number two, we removed all chokes. So there's about 3 chokes that we canceled because they could be a little dangerous.
If used incorrectly, or you don't understand how much pressure to put and not put, it can be dangerous. So there you have it. Essentially the same thing. Junior Combatives has 33 lessons total, and each lesson is broken down into different slices or simplified drills. And at the end of the lesson, there's a bully battle, which is a combination exercise where they flow amongst all the techniques.
So you can already tell that it's getting a little more advanced now.
Oh, for sure.
And this is why it's important that the child is very comfortable in the Gracie games.
Yeah, it has to be to the point where practicing the Gracie games and playing jiu-jitsu is the most fun and enjoyable experience of their daily activities. I mean, it has to be to where, because here's the problem. If you take them from Gracie games into the larger pool of junior combatives techniques before they are ready, they will feel overwhelmed. So it's incredibly important that you don't advance them too soon. And of course, you're going to want them to progress through the curriculum and learn all the moves, but trust us when we tell you, keep them in the Gracie games until they all become second nature, and normally it's around 5, 6, 7 years old. Now, if your child is starting the Bully Proof program at 10 years old, they might go through the Gracie games 2 or 3 times and be good to go and be ready for junior combatives. But this is where they begin learning. They actually begin learning. And once they perfect the junior combatives techniques, once they understand the foundational, I guess, variations of all these essential techniques, they are ready to move on to the adult curriculum. Now that'll take, our little brothers have been doing junior combatives for, 5 years. And we still haven't, taken them into the adult curriculum. So it'll be a while.
The age, normally about 12, 13.
Yeah.
13 years old, you're getting your
what it is
adult
a
classes.
13, a 14-year-old really starts to think more like an adult. They're more detail-oriented, and they appreciate the details more. Kids under that age, 10, 11 years old and below, they just really they're not very detail-oriented. They just like playing around, doing the techniques. So junior combatives is where your child will stay, and you'll cycle through that over and over again, from 3 to 30 times. Years. Of course, each time you cycle through it, it'll get more challenging. They will get better at the techniques, but no matter what, do not take them into the adult curriculum until they're 100% got all the techniques down, and you can tell they're eager for more. It's not enough. It's not enough. They want more details. They want more. Then you get into Gracie Combatives, which can be learned either on DVD or can be accessed online through gracieuniversity.com. And then it's possible that a child completes junior combatives by 12, 13 years old, very intelligent, very detailed child, learns all those perfectly, goes into the Gracie Combatives, completes that course with you.
Like, if the child started at a young age, Gracie Combatives will be pretty easy to learn.
Yes, because it's the junior combatives with just more details. More details. Instead of 20%, 25, we're giving them 100%. And they'll go through all that. They'll have a great time. They might get the most of it. They might get the majority of the information downloaded. Guess what? Move on to the master cycle. Okay? So you're going to have, this is the most important thing you must understand. Parents, you are the judge as to when they go. From one curriculum, from Gracie Games to Junior Combatives, from Junior Combatives to Gracie Combatives, and then from Gracie Combatives to Master Cycle. And all we can tell you is the best indicator is go through it more times than less. Don't be in a hurry to rush them to the next curriculum. Be in a hurry to keep them here and perfect the ones they already know. They have fun. Just because parents, you need to always learn something new to be stimulated and want to continue learning. Kids don't necessarily need that. They need to play with their mother or father, have a fun time, challenge them, change the challenge, of course, increase the challenge intensity with the techniques that they already know, and they'll be good to go. So don't rush to the next curriculum. It's the most important thing to understand. But junior combatives, incredible course, mature techniques, and but remember, don't get into junior combatives until they understand the rules of engagement, because those are serious techniques that, if abused, obviously can be dangerous. But we believe that once the child learns the philosophy that we discussed in the rules of engagement course, they won't abuse them. They won't abuse them.
And they're going to learn, if they move to Gracie combatives, which we talked about, they're going to learn those chokes. So the philosophy has to be even a little more.
Yes.
Because they're learning some dangerous techniques.
Yeah. Basically, they don't go to the adult curriculum until they're as mature and focused and disciplined as an adult. Now, there are some 12-year-old students here at the academy who have that discipline. It's incredible. And your child will reach that discipline sooner than they would have otherwise reached it because of jiu-jitsu. We guarantee that. The discipline that will come from learning this and them watching the techniques and practicing with you, learning the rules of engagement, they're going to mature faster in that discipline with respect to their discipline. So once they get it though, once they reach that adult mindset, adult mentality, let them go, let them grow, take them to the top. And the most important thing is that you never put more in front of them than they can handle comfortably. And we're going to talk more about that in the next few segments, but that's really where it's at. Don't rush them through the curriculum. Just because you want them to go through fast doesn't mean that they are ready to go through the curriculum fast. Okay? Most important thing is that they're having fun and that you're keeping it basic. Keeping it basic.
Notice how when you start junior combatives, how excited they are about each technique. And if that excitement is constantly growing, you continue in junior combatives. Once you feel like it's a little bit of like a,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that'll take several cycles to go through. And really that okay will come sooner if you don't know how to effectively challenge the child. Now, how to challenge the child strategically is an art in itself. We will teach you, don't worry. Okay, but for now, you understand. Gracie Games, rules of engagement, junior combatives, and once they perfect that, when they're a mini adult, take them to Gracie combatives and beyond. Master cycle, all the way to the top. Okay? The golden rule. Expect nothing, praise everything. If you follow this, your child will be engaged for years to come. If you violate this rule, you're going to lose them as quickly as you brought them in. Very simple. As soon as your expectation of the child's execution of a technique exceeds their ability, you expect this, but they can only give this. As soon as that becomes regular, they quit. They're gone. So what's the secret? Expect nothing. All that matters to you, only thing that matters is that they're on the mat and they're having fun. Now, why do parents, if the child is only capable of this, why do parents expect this from the child? Because they think that, because here's why. Parents see the big picture. The big picture is, if they learn these techniques, they'll be safe from bullies. If they become good at jiu-jitsu, they'll be more confident. They'll have a better life. They'll be more successful in all areas. The parents see the big picture.
But the parents need to see the even bigger picture.
The big picture.
There's a bigger picture.
Bigger than this?
Yes. And it is that if you expect too much, they're going to quit.
This is useless unless the child is engaged long enough to benefit from all this. Fine, this is great long term. But today, nothing matters more than that the child comes into the training session happy and that they leave the training session happy. And if you were expecting this and all they could give is this the whole session, they were trying, you kept saying, no, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. Do more, do more, do more.
They can feel.
They're going to associate training with you to
that negative feeling.
That negative feeling that they aren't good enough.
Yes.
So the feeling that they aren't good enough is tied to jiu-jitsu. So guess what? When you say, hey kids, let's go play Gracie Games, they're going to say, no. I don't want to feel like I'm not good enough. Because all you do is tell them that they've got to do it better, they've got to do this, they've got to do that. Kids, indication. To them, the indication of progress comes entirely from outside, from someone else. So a kid who's 5, 6, 7, 8 years old doesn't know if they're progressing. Okay? They don't know. So they wait for the parent to say, amazing, praise them.
Praise everything.
Praise everything.
Another reason why parents expect so much is because the parent sees the child and they see the child as a reflection of themselves. If your child is 6 and they're not learning and they're not paying attention, you think that you're teaching wrong, or that maybe you didn't, show them in their earlier years how to focus or how to pay attention, whatever it may be. So you see it as your imperfection, maybe a little bit like, man, my child's having a hard time. What did I do wrong? But no, it's not you.
Not you at all.
It's just a child.
Yes.
Let a child be a child.
And you have to understand how kids are completely, it's been so long since you were a kid that you don't remember how you like to learn. These kids don't want to learn. They want to play with their parent. Kids love bonding and love wrestling around with mom or dad. And that's all they really want from it. Now, using the strategies we're going to teach you, you're going to sneak in the techniques little by little. And by praising every little progress, they're going to get better little by little.
The parent has to a little bit disidentify from the role of a parent.
Yes.
And just become the training partner.
So
become
true.
the equal.
Yes.
You have to almost become another 7-year-old kid that both of you are just playing together, and
don't
you win
criticize
one,
them at all.
They win one. That back and
The only
forth.
difference is that you praise much more than a 7-year-old would.
Yes.
But that's so incredible. Disidentify from the role of a parent. So much of parents' relationship with their child is no, change, no. Do this better, do that better. That when you get on the mat, naturally, you're going to want to correct and fix everything your child is doing. But we can assure you,
that is not what you want to do.
that is violation number 1 that'll ruin it for you. That's why we call it the golden rule. Violate this one and you're done. Follow the golden rule and you're almost guaranteed success. If you can bring yourself to their level and understand that they don't learn like adults. They don't want to learn like adults. They don't appreciate details. They just want to play. So expect nothing, which means whatever they do is good enough.
If all they do is ask you to do some games and some junior combatives,
Great.
Amazing.
Great. And if the move is this is the move, and they give you this much, wonderful. Wonderful. Praise everything too. They grab your neck, perfect, hold my neck, you got it. Very strong grip. Almost clownish praise, almost like over the top. Trust me, they want nothing more than for mother or father to praise them.
They want attention.
They want attention, it's all they want.
They
Give
want
them good attention with the grappling, with the playing of the games, and they will be addicted to jiu-jitsu for as long as you preserve that golden rule. But violate this one and you're lost. So, if you expect nothing and you praise everything, how do you get your child to progress? And how do they get better at a technique if you can't carve away at their mistakes? If someone messes up, someone's doing anything, right? And they mess up, you say, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Do this. It's the easiest way. It's the easiest way. We call that pull teaching. We don't like pull teaching. We like push teaching. If this is the child's capabilities, this is their ability currently, and you want them to get here, okay? You can get there by highlighting their errors and their mistakes, and then hopefully they'll fix those mistakes, or you can get there by pushing them. So instead of pulling them with errors, you push them with praise and the transfer teaching strategy. Transfer teaching.
Transfer teaching. If basically an example that our father uses is a child eating. So if you're 8 months old 6 months old, you're not using a spoon by yourself eating your food.
You're doing it for me.
I'll hold the spoon and I'm gonna feed him. Right? I might even have to open his mouth for him too. Okay? 6 months later, we put the spoon in his hand. Now that spoon's not gonna go in his mouth for sure. So I'm gonna grab the hand and the spoon together and hold his neck. And do this. Together. Now, one day I'm gonna let go of the hand. And maybe it'll go halfway, and I'm like, hey, calm down. Here. Okay, good. And not in your nose, right there, good. See that?
So what's the moral of the story? In the beginning, Hidon did everything. The full responsibility of the technique lied in the hands of the teacher. And then little by little, the responsibility was transferred to me. Now, that transfer is done in a very positive way. When Hidon grabs my hand with the spoon and he puts it in, and I did that for the first time, he goes, good, amazing. Then eventually I do it on my own one time, very good. And you keep praising, but you're doing it for them. And naturally, with the praise and your involvement, they will eventually do it on their own. Little by little. What's the key to the transfer teaching strategy? Patience.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's so much more efficient to just say, no, do this, do that, do this, do that. But guess what? Efficiency with people isn't always the best way. Patience.
We have some 4-year-old kids that we teach, 5-year-old kids, and the parents watch us during the classes, and we're teaching the kids. And the parents they watch, and like, wow, my kid is doing really good. They're doing the move right. They're throwing Hidon on the ground. They're ending up on top. There's a lot of movement that's happening. The parent can't even see that the kid is just limp.
Ragdoll.
100%, it's myself or Henner moving the child from the side to the top to standing.
Yeah. All we want is that the child feels the correct movement. And we are literally putting them in the right position and doing it for them. In the Gracie Games, and even in some of the junior combatives classes, but the Gracie Games more specifically, you'll see we have one assistant who's helping us, and she is this tall. Her name is Alyssa. She's 4 years old, but I think she might be 2.5 or 3, okay? Because she is tiny. Now, with the techniques, we literally do them for her. We are the ones grabbing her and moving her around. And what you're going to see is, all we do is move her like a rag doll, and all we say is, good, amazing. And the move isn't done perfect, but that's all good.
We're 100% sure it's going to pay off.
Oh, man, because she's associating the correct body movement with amazing. And she'll slowly take the responsibility of the technique when she is ready, not when we want her to.
It'll probably only happen in a year.
Yes.
1 year of patience.
We don't decide when Alyssa is ready. Alyssa decides when she is ready. Until then, all we can do is do our best to do the move for her. Take the responsibility and then transfer it to the child. The most important thing is patience and trusting the
time, the system. Trust the system that in time that it will all come together.
100%.
All of it.
There's no way it won't. The only way you can ruin the transfer teaching is by trying to pull them to the top with corrections, errors, and everything they're doing wrong. It's more efficient.
Yeah.
But guess what? You'll lose them very quickly. So transfer teaching. It's the key to progress, to the child's progress, without violating the golden rule, without expecting more than they can give. You do the move for them. Pay close attention in the Gracie Games, and you'll see that, wow, these kids look amazing. But then really look closer, and you're going to say, wow, the kids are barely doing anything. We're the ones doing everything. And then in time, we transfer it. Incredible. The results will be incredible. Next, we're going to talk about the most common mistake. What is the most common mistake they're going to make?
Failure to correct mistakes correctly.
Huge deal. Your child or children will make mistakes. More than any other thing, they will make mistakes. How you correct those mistakes will determine whether they stay with you or whether you lose them. Okay, whether they keep going or whether they quit immediately. Here's the deal. Let's say I want Hidon to grab my wrist with what we call a thumbless grip. Hidon's 7 years old. My son. This is what I want from him. No thumb, fingers on top. Okay, Hidon, and he's 7 years old. Little kid, just watch the video, confused but having fun, all good. Please grab my wrist. With your hand on top. With no thumb, please. No. No thumb. Thumb on top. No, sir. Put your fingers and your thumb on top of the grip. And hook it. Hook your thumb over the wrist. No. Put your hand back on top. Bring the thumb over right now. Thumb over. Gosh. There you have it. That's the problem. Now, that's the incorrect, if you didn't pick up on it yet, that is the incorrect failure or mistake correction strategy. That was a failure. Now, if I want Hidon to grab my wrist and he grabs it wrong, disaster grab, disaster, more disastrous. Son, please grab my wrist. And he grabs like this. Here's how you fix it. Perfect. It's called the perfect adjustment. You adjust his grip. You don't say anything. You just adjust it and you say perfect. The perfect adjustment. Adjust, say perfect. Perfect. Now, think of the difference. When I was trying to coach Hidon to the right grip, look at what was going on inside Hidon's head. Imagine how dumb he felt. Do you think he would like to experience that every day? Multiple times? No. He would quit after day number 1. Gracie game 1. That was very fun, but thank you very much. I'm never coming back. You lose him forever. Now,
this means you better know the techniques.
You have
the parent
to know,
better pay attention to make the good corrections.
and if the
parent,
parent,
put them in the right
correct.
spot.
And if the parent, if you're correcting him, if you're verbally correcting him, that is the mistake. Because when you verbally correct the child, you leave room for interpretation and confusion. Language can be misinterpreted. But when I say Hidon, perfect, there's no misinterpretation. There's no way to mess up. You leave no loopholes. There's no way that the child can do it wrong if I use the perfect adjustment.
Impossible.
Strategy. Literally impossible. Make your thumb wrong right now. I go like this. Perfect.
He's holding it in place. We guarantee it that when we do a move with somebody, a technique with anybody, whether they're 5 or 85, they're gonna do the move right.
Yes.
Because we can use this with anybody.
So we use it with adults all the time. We don't just run up and say, no, don't do that, don't do this, change that. We just say like this. If the hand is wrong, if I want Hidon's hand on my knee, I don't walk up and say, Hidon, place your left hand on my left knee or my right knee. I say, perfect. Because they never, basically what this does is this is so exciting. I'm very excited about what I'm about to tell you. The secret to the perfect adjustment is that you fix the mistake without the mistake ever existing in the mind of the student. They don't even know they were messing up. They don't know. It's called an undercover correction. Totally undercover. Think about that. That means that when they practice jiu-jitsu, there is no negative association. They're perfect. All they hear is perfect. Now, they made 20 mistakes, and you fixed them. But guess what? They never knew they made the 20 mistakes because you didn't talk about them. It's called the perfect adjustment. It's incredible.
The next time I land in this position, I'm going to feel this. I'm going to go to this because this right here is what got me that perfect.
Yes.
And I like the perfect.
Yes.
So now, whenever we land in the mount and I hold the wrist, say it.
Perfect. Very good. Perfect, Hidon.
And that goes into
job,
every
son.
position.
So, wow. Now, failure to correct mistakes correctly. Verbal mistake correction, disaster. As soon as you highlight the error, you lost them. It might not seem like it, but it's a silent killer. No, don't do this, do that. Put your hand here, put your hand there. Don't put your hand there. Worst. You say, Hidon, very good job. Perfect. Everything is good.
They don't even realize that you move
They
their
don't even
hand.
know. It's
They won't even know.
undercover. Undercover. Now, failure to correct mistakes correctly, equally important, that must be mentioned right now, is not all mistakes need to be corrected. You will notice in the Gracie games specifically how the kids make a lot of mistakes, and sometimes we choose to not say anything. We allow the mistake to exist.
Because we trust the system.
Yes.
And we trust time.
And we trust more than anything that highlighting errors today, and if we're fixing everything on the first day, they're going to say, wow, I'm not good at this. And if the child doesn't feel good at this stuff, these games we're playing, they will disqualify themselves. All kids want is to be good at something and to be praised for being good. So if there's 20 mistakes in a class, I might only correct 10. And of the 10 that I correct using the perfect adjustment, which is do it for them and then say, perfect. And they're going to go, wow, this is fun. I'm doing everything perfect.
On top of this, do we really expect the child to do every detail perfect?
If you do, you have issues.
Do I expect myself, Hidon, when I do something new, to do it 100% perfect?
I'll tell you right now.
No.
When I came in, we started teaching as teenagers, 13, 14 years old, we were teaching kids. Around 15 or 16, I began teaching my first group classes here at the Gracie Academy, group kids classes. And for a couple years during the beginning, I had the belief that if the children weren't doing the move perfect, I wasn't a good instructor.
Same as how a parent might feel if the kid's not learning, that they're not being a good parent instructor.
Yeah, if they're not doing it perfect, you're not a good teacher, you're not a good parent. Listen, I felt that way. There were like a bunch of parents watching my classes, and I felt that if the kids weren't doing every detail right, I didn't deserve their students being in my class, their kids being in my class as my students. I wasn't worthy as an instructor. For 2 years, that feeling plagued me. Now imagine the stress of teaching a class of 40 or 50 kids between 5 and 7 or 7 and 12, whatever, years old, doing these techniques. Every kid is doing the move wrong. Imagine the stress. It was crazy. I can't believe I made it for 2 years. And then it dawned on me that the perfection of the technique was far down the totem pole in the order of importance. That nothing mattered more today than that the kids had fun and that they were rolling around, building comfort in the closeness. So I stepped back and I realized I don't have to correct every mistake. If I give this much and they do this much on their first day, perfect. And like Hidon said, we trust that with time, they will hear so many perfects, and I'll use some perfect adjustments that they will say, okay, I got a perfect for this last time. Let me do this again and get another perfect and get another praise. So there you have it. Once I took the burden off of needing the child to do every detail 100%, once I removed that from myself, I went from being a new kids teacher to an incredible kids teacher because kids had fun. They came to my class like super pumped. The moves were only done 50% correctly, but they were pumped to be there because I only praised them and there was no negativity. Whereas before, I was like, no, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. Kids were quitting more often. I was more stressed out, and it wasn't a fun time. It was not enjoyable for me. But once I lowered the expectation, I praised a bunch, and I was very careful of my correction strategies. Every class now is an extreme pleasure because the kids are having fun, I'm having fun, and the expectation has been lowered. And I trust that with time, the system will take effect, and they'll climb to the top.
Let kids be kids.
Yes. The problem is you are an adult, and you expect your child to learn like you. Do yourself the favor. Better yet, do your child the favor and eliminate that mindset. Kids are kids. They learn differently. They don't appreciate details. They want to have fun. Correct their mistakes strategically, and you have nothing to worry about. Okay? Praise often. Praise often. Praise often. Correct carefully. Our challenge to you is to become a master at challenging your child. Your ability to keep your child engaged for several years with the same techniques, Gracie Games, Junior Combatives, 5 years, 7 years, a long time, they will be learning these techniques. Your ability to keep them engaged comes from how effectively you challenge them. The Gracie games each have 3 levels: low, medium, and high. The key thing to understand as you go through these levels, 1, 2, 3, higher intensity, is that level 3 is different for every child. A 4-year-old's level 3 is a 4-year-old's level 3, which is this. But a 12-year-old's level 3 can be much crazier.
And a 4-year-old's level 3 will change,
Yes, as they get older.
8 months later.
And that's how our Father kept us engaged. We started off, remember the transfer teaching principle? When we first mounted on our Father and we played Spider Kid, where we had to hold our Father down, he literally does it for us. We aren't doing anything. But a year
Level
goes,
3. That's level 3.
Level 3 is like, do it for us. Then all of a sudden, he starts actually pushing us. We barely put our hands out. That's our new level 3. Then we become 7, 8, 9 years old, and he's giving us a little juice. You literally have the ability, and that's kind of an art, to be underneath a 4-year-old child, acting like you're going crazy, acting like a crazy monster, when really they're feeling no serious push or resistance or threat. And they feel like they're doing the move right. It's incredible. So you got to act a little bit. Controlled chaos. You act crazy.
And then there are times where the child might almost start to fall off and lose the position, and then you bring them back.
Yes.
So you don't allow them, you don't let them fall off and fail all the time.
Yes. Now,
real quick, we need to find the child's limit.
yes.
That's how you find your level 3.
Yes.
You start to throw them, and you can feel when they're gonna lose control. And then you stop, rewind. Okay, level 3 right there, and you mark it.
Yes.
And then you go down, create a level 2 and a level 1, and you're set.
Now there becomes a point in all children jiu-jitsu careers where you must employ a strategic sacrifice. Now what that is basically throwing them off. They lose. They lose. Because the possibility of defeat makes victory taste that much better. So our Father was able to keep us engaged because it got to a point where we mounted and he'd go like this, and he'd throw us off. And he'd be like, come on, can't you hold me for real? And we jump back on and it becomes that game. Now, let me warn you, the strategic sacrifices must only come in once the child falls in love with jiu-jitsu. Because before then, if you sacrifice and you throw them off, they're going to say, wow, I suck. You'll see it in the Gracie games, how we make some very strategic sacrifices. In the Gracie games early on, we do it, we're conservative with it, but we do it, just so you can see. But in the junior combatives, we really do it a lot.
We need the child to come right back. We need to throw the kid off and the child run back to us.
And maybe win
and
right
try
after.
again.
Generally good rule. They lose, they win right after. But still, the fact that they lost is like, let me get a little bit better.
They almost feel as if they weren't ready.
Yes.
I wasn't ready for that one. Or, all right, now I'm going to hold tighter.
But it's very playful. It's never like, come on, you suck. What are you doing? It's always like, ha, come on. Can't you hold me down on level 3?
Nobody can hold me down.
Who do you think I am? Ha, you got to kind of get crazy with them, you know?
There's a little acting involved.
Very acting.
Watch in the Gracie games. Watch Hannah trying to, like, as if
Put it this way.
he's fighting for his life to get out from underneath the 4-year-old.
As long as it's playful and the child has already fallen in love with the playful aspect, but as long as your strategic sacrifices are playful, they're allowed. As soon as you sacrifice, you throw them off and you're like, come on, where's your base? You suck. There's not. They don't want to do that anymore.
This is their child you're talking about. What are you?
Sorry.
You suck?
You would never say that anyways, wouldn't you?
No.
Would you not? Strategic sacrifices, so important. Now, the challenge. The challenge can take place on an overall technique level where they're trying to hold you down with the whole technique and you throw them off, or the challenge can take place on a detailed level. For example, let's say I want Hidon to get very fast at slapping my hand. So he slaps my hand. I want him to get very quick at the hand. Go again. Again. Good. Good. Follow it, please. Follow it. Boom. That's how you, on a detailed level, for one specific detail in the technique, or let's say I want him to hold my neck tight. Hold my neck loose. Looser. Come on, hold tighter. You got more than that. Come on, for real. Hold it. Come on, buddy. There you go. Go. You can do it. You can do it. So you kind of juice it. You challenge that one detail, and that strategic challenge will make them tighter at that detail for sure.
The kids are usually kind of relaxed.
Yes.
All we want is the child to
crisping up a little bit. We want them to get a little bit tighter.
At least to their potential.
Yes.
That's all we want. Just a little, give me a little life, you know?
Yes.
Sometimes they're just a little bit sleepy.
You'll see, even our brothers sometimes go through the technique to relax. And you'll see in the junior combatives, they're like, if they're relaxed, you'll see how we kind of juice them up a little. We kind of give them a little bit of juice, and all of a sudden they get a little bit tighter, and it's all good. Because it's necessary. You want to build to that point where they're actually doing the techniques on their own, where they're implementing and making it happen. So, challenges. Challenging your child is the secret to keeping them engaged with this relatively limited number of techniques. 33 junior combatives, 10 Gracie games. Challenges are how you're going to keep them engaged for several years, because level 3 gets crazier as they get better. Play with the challenges, make it playful, act a bunch, and sometimes throw in the strategic sacrifice. And their kid's gonna say, man, I'm gonna get you. Like at the end, after dinner one night, you guys are rolling around the floor, they go, at the end, you throw the kid off, and you're like, okay, I knew it. Today I'm feeling too crazy. I knew you weren't gonna be able to hold me down. There's gotta be that playfulness to it. And they're gonna say, come on, mommy or daddy, I can hold you down for sure. Let's go again. They jump on, they get tighter, boom, time to go to sleep. Time's up. And they're like, oh, I can't wait till tomorrow, jiu-jitsu. Okay, the sacrifice. Up the ante a little bit, okay? And the whole game becomes more fun. Not that gambling is good, but there has to be some possibility of defeat to warrant their full commitment and engagement in the training sessions. If you crush your child one time,
It'll take a lot of therapy. Lots of therapy might bring them back to you.
safety, most important thing. These techniques, you're a giant. Compared to your child, you are a giant. Unless they're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, you're much bigger than them. So because you're going to be rolling around with them, every technique has points at which there are little safety hazards where if you aren't careful with your weight distribution or your body position, you could easily hurt them.
Anything from a kid's finger, like little fingers.
Wrists,
and
fingers, toes, ankles.
You have to keep your weight on your own limbs.
Yes.
You're supporting your own weight on your elbows, your knees all the time.
Incredible. And of course, for each game or technique or lesson, we discuss what the safety concerns are. So we include them, but as a general principle, you got to be very careful.
When you sacrifice, the strategic sacrifice, and you kind of throw them off you here and there, also, you got to be careful because
You might not be expecting the craziness.
they're semi-relaxed. You throw them,
They hit their head on something.
very careful.
But the main thing is your weight distribution. When you're on top or rolling around with your kid, if you twist or go in a direction they weren't expecting and their foot was there, very dangerous. So just be aware of it. And when mentioned in the classes, pay particularly close attention to the details we highlight, and you shouldn't have anything to worry about, but it should always be a concern, the safety, because like Hidon said, one mess up, one crush of their finger could be the end of it.
It can be fixed, but
My brothers and I, we
A
like
lot
to. My
of
brothers and I, we go to the beach often here in California, and we catch crabs. You know, we catch these cool little crabs on the rocks near the jetty, and we grab these crabs, and we very playful. My brother and I are very good at catching them. We know how to hold them without getting pinched, and we taught our little brothers, Horan and Henon, who you'll meet in this course in the Gracie Bullyproof program, how to hold these crabs. So for they started grabbing them. They grab them exactly like we do. Everything's all good. But then one day, after several times where we went and our brothers held the crabs very comfortably,
it happened.
it happened. Our brother got a little careless, grabbed it a little bit different than we showed him, and got pinched hard by a big one. She was a big one. She got a hold of his finger. He went, whoop! He whipped it back. The crab went flying off into nowhere. And he got pinched. He looked at it. It wasn't even bleeding that bad, and it wasn't a huge deal. But guess what? Cried and cried and cried and cried.
And
like 20 minutes. It was ridiculous.
Do you think he went crab hunting the next day?
I couldn't get him to even hold the crab for the next 25, for the whole summer. Until the following summer, he didn't want to hold the crab at all. No. So he went from being totally comfortable with crabs, grabbing them and holding them, to don't even get me near one. My bad. My bad. Now, I can't control the crab pinch. I taught him the right technique, but you get the moral of the story. an incident like that can completely turn off the child. So safety, your responsibility, and you don't want something so foolish as you crushing their wrist or finger to prevent your child from ever wanting to play jiu-jitsu with you in the future.
It's the art of becoming a 7-year-old or the art of becoming a 9-year-old. Whatever you gotta be to match your child, you gotta become that age and that weight.
Especially with the little girls. Watch how we play with Alyssa and Haley and Rayanne, the girls, how they're very small. And Hedon's very big. And he rolls around with them crazy, but no one gets hurt. Why? Gentle giant. Safety consideration. Very thoughtful weight distribution. Safety. Preserve that, and you'll be okay. And they'll be okay. If you can make it to where Gracie Jiu-Jitsu practice is a privilege for your child, you win. In every sense of the word. Now, in order for something to be a privilege, it has to be fun. Okay? And for it to be fun, it can't be mandatory. When was the last time you had something that was mandatory that was fun? Like, listen, think about it. Nothing amazingly fun is ever mandatory. It's never forced on you. You do it because you want to. Now, how are we going to set up that privilege from the very beginning? First things first, get them addicted to the fun, playful aspect of jiu-jitsu. Once it's a game for them, and they're like, Daddy, let's play. It's that fun. All that matters is the fun. Once that fun is established, not before, Gracie Games. Once Gracie Games and the fun is established, and they love it and they're excited about it, all of a sudden, make them earn it a little bit. Make them earn it.
Yeah, they're gonna wanna do some Gracie Games one day or some techniques, and you're gonna say, hold on, first.
Eat all your broccoli.
Yeah. Do your homework.
Yes. After your homework, we can play jiu-jitsu for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So, moral of the story, make them work for it, and they'll appreciate it more. So if you can create that. Now, what you can't do is make it mandatory. You can't force them to do jiu-jitsu. Okay, let's go right now. Get down. We're going to do it right now. You're not going to, get to play video games until you do jiu-jitsu. It's the punishment now. Lost it. It might be more efficient. You might get them on the mat because you're forcing them. But trust us when we tell you, in many ways, it's the worst strategy because it might work today. But as soon as they really have a choice, they're going to choose not to because it was forced on them. And the training sessions themselves won't be that fun for them because they don't want to be there.
This is really tricky right now.
Huge deal.
They don't understand how big this is. You have to make the kid want to do it. They're not going to want to do it. There's going to be, it's going to happen for sure. Or the kid doesn't want to. There's going to be a time where the child's like, I don't want to. So you have to kind of ease off a little bit and look at how the sessions are going.
Yes.
And figure out why are they saying no.
Yes.
Because it's not because it can't be made fun.
So following the teaching strategies that we've discussed up until now is the secret to making it a privilege because that will make it fun. If they're getting praised all the time, they make no mistakes because you don't highlight them. They always get to beat up mommy or daddy. They get to roll around and have a fun time doing this. What is there not to like? They're getting praised and they're learning and they're having fun. They're going to if you do your job. The problem is if you violate one of the previously discussed teaching methodologies, then all of a sudden it starts to become forced.
When you violate one of the methodologies, they're going to go ride a bike one day. And when they're riding their bike, it's going to be just straight fun. And no criticism, no correcting.
That's fun.
So then now they're weighing the bicycle and jiu-jitsu. And the jiu-jitsu is going to do this. Or the bicycle will just do this. Because
there's no criticism. There's no negativity. So, rule number 1, get them addicted to the fun aspect of it. Once you see that they love playing jiu-jitsu, step number 2, not rule, step number 2, make them earn it. Very gently, say, listen, help me mow the lawn and we'll play jiu-jitsu. Okay?
Trick them. Listen, I have to mow the lawn. If you help me, we can do it sooner.
We can play. Only once the lawn is done, we're going to do this. Okay? But use it as, basically leverage the jiu-jitsu to get them to do other things. And now, this will only work if you do step 1, which is get them to love jiu-jitsu. Then you can start leveraging it, and then you've done what we call preserve the privilege. Now, no matter how hard you try, No matter how good you do, there may come a day that you violate one strategy, impulsively, you mess up, let's say, you don't do it perfect, and they fall out of love for a moment. Let's talk about rekindling the flame. So they go, they ride their bike. It's more fun because the bike doesn't talk back at them. The bike doesn't yell at them. The bike doesn't correct their mistakes openly. So they prefer to ride their bike rather than play jiu-jitsu with you. Rekindle the flame. How do you do it? First off, you step off. Step off the gas. Chill for a little bit. Don't force it. Very gentle. Don't get angry. Just accept. A little bit of break. Couple weeks, maybe a month or two, even. Okay, no problem. One day, without the DVDs, without anything, just say, hey, who thinks they can hold me down right now for 5 seconds? Just hold me down. In other words, you have no objective of teaching them. You just want to play. So you bring them back in with the playful spirit. No teaching, no correction, no nothing. Maybe a little challenge and play. And they're going to say, I'll hold you down for sure, Dad. Because they want to play. They like fun. They forgot about the criticism, let's say. A month went by. They jump on top of you. You go crazy. They hold you down. Push them off halfway. They jump back on. They get a hold of you. All right. I didn't realize you remembered all your techniques. You're too good. Get off me. I need somebody a little bit weaker. Let me see if I can go find someone weaker. And you go from there. Moral of the story. To rekindle the flame, give it a break and do it pure playfulness. No learning or teaching mindset, nothing. Bring them back in with the game and start from scratch. Expect nothing, praise everything, and rebuild and rebuild. Okay, now when we were kids, we fell out of love a couple times. Normally, like when we discovered the movies, we started making friends, like met a girl, you know? So
8 years old?
No. It was
10.
around like 10 or 11, 12.
11.
So we fell out of it, and our dad didn't want to force us, but it was like, okay, jiu-jitsu or go hang out with Mike. And my dad was like, Henry, go to the academy today, I'll give you $2. And I'm like, all right, I'll go to the academy. $2. I listened. So bribes are not wrong.
But
They're
when you
okay.
got there, but when you got to the academy, it had to be that good experience.
Yes.
Because if not, next time around, that $2 is like, no.
Correct.
It's not even
So-
worth $2. So you have to be very...
Anyways, so there it is. So you don't force it, but you make it an option and you give a little incentive. Hey, if you have to resort to that, do it. Don't do it if you don't have to. Preserve the privilege from early on.
Yeah, save the money. Wait till the
Yeah,
very
it's
end.
the last resort. Preserve the privilege. And if you lose it, rekindle the flame with pure playfulness. They'll come back, okay? Remember, kids want to play with their parents, and the kids want to get praised. All they hear is no, no, no their whole lives. They get that praise. Hey, they will like it. Correct their errors carefully and preserve the privilege. Make them earn it a little bit because people appreciate what they work for. People appreciate more what they have to earn. So if you can create that dynamic from the very beginning, wow, golden, all the way to the top. Before we get started, a couple things. Let's talk about the training schedule. Gracie Games. There are 10 Gracie Games. Each has 3 levels. The moves are so simple. You can go from one lesson, 3 levels, pass it, next lesson, especially if your expectation is low. So just race through those. And once you finish all 10,
Do them all again.
keep going. Just keep cycling through them. How many times? Well, it depends when they start, how old they are when they start. If they're 3 years old when they start, cycle through until they're 5 or 6 for sure, which is, 30, 40 times. They don't care. They'll have fun all the way through. Change the intensity level, change the challenge, make it more fun, make it more engaging, but keep cycling through the Gracie Games. Junior combatives, once they learn how to learn, and you put them into the junior combatives course, and you begin going through those, we recommend you follow the tricycle training schedule. That means you go through 3 lessons, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3.
Once you finish, do all 3 again.
1, 2, 3.
And then move to 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, all the way through. Once you finish junior combatives, guess what? Start over, do it all again. Increase intensity, slightly more details maybe, and they're going to keep getting better and better. Training time. In the actual lesson, how much time are we spending on the mat? Generally, we find that there's an interesting line between, there's a kind of an interesting border around 7 years old. Before 7 years old, 7 and below, depending on the maturity of the kid, but around there, they should be training for more or less 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. Like, it's already getting high. 10 minutes is a good number, but less than that if necessary. Over 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, they can train for, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. But this is a very general guideline. What matters most is that they start every class very enthused and they end every class very excited as well.
Versus,
come on, Daddy, we're done. Let's not do this anymore. Not good. So if they're getting tired of it, quickly get off and start to gauge. You know your child more than anyone. You decide. But that's a general guideline there. And the lessons are so simple that you can do a lesson in 7, 10, 12 minutes. So, and sometimes you might decide, let's just do a partial lesson, which is totally okay. Remember, nothing matters more than that they end the class wanting more. Okay, they leave the table a little bit hungry, if you know what I mean.
So sometimes it could be right. They're having all kinds of fun.
Okay, good enough.
We got to go do some stuff now. Let's go over here.
And
Let's go eat
no,
dinner.
one more time. No, we'll play tomorrow. How about that? Tomorrow, they're looking forward to it. Great. The best thing you can do is leave the table a little bit hungry with your children. Now, training equipment. In the beginning, the Gracie games are so playful and so simple, you don't even need mats. If you have carpet, roll around in front of the television, make it happen. But as they get older and the techniques get more serious, they get a little heavier because they're getting older, then having some mats to land on won't be a bad idea. Especially for you parents, as you're rolling around, having some grappling mats. You can get foldable grappling mats at graciekids.com, and those will help. 10 by 10, 10 feet by 10 feet, a little square is good to go. So grappling mats, training attire, gi. Your child is welcome to wear the full gi uniform as the children do here at the academy, and as we do here at the academy. So of course, gis are available at graciekids.com.
And that's more also in junior combatives. Once the child's a little more serious and they really, it's almost like,
feel your kid out. If they would be super excited about wearing a uniform, put them in a uniform just to make it official.
there could be a day where maybe halfway through junior combatives, you just get them a gi. And you get one for yourself. So it's almost like it's a serious thing now. We're putting our gis on,
Serious, but playfully serious. Serious like, we love doing this and we're going to grow together with this, but not serious like, you got to do everything perfect. So yes, but it becomes more official and they love that. Kids love wearing the gi. They come to class, they love having their little uniform, they love having their belt, they love earning their stripes, which we're going to talk about next. So get them a gi. In the beginning though, shorts, t-shirt, keep it casual, just play. It's a game. Play. Once they fall in love with that, slowly increase the level of seriousness, and you'll be shocked by how focused they become and how eager they are to learn. Okay, but always leave the table a little bit hungry. Here at the Gracie Academy, all kids start as white belts. And of course, as they progress and they climb through the curriculum, they get different colored belts. White, yellow, yellow, white, orange, yellow, orange, orange, white, green, yellow, green, orange, green, green. Under 16 years old, that's the system they follow.
A lot of belts. For the reason to be able to go through a lot of belts.
Kids love belts.
We want to give belts.
Kids know what black belts are. They know what a black belt is, most kids. After 5 years old, they know what a black belt is. And they know that martial arts have belts, and they love earning. Kids love earning things and qualifying. So although the belt doesn't change your knowledge at all, you can put a white belt on me or no belt, and I know the same thing. Kids specifically love the outside acknowledgement of progress or indicator of progress, and the belt does just that. They're very proud of it. It's incredible. Every 20 classes here at the Academy, the children, students, get a stripe on their white belt. A stripe on their white belt. We award them their stripes. Now, with your kids at home, they're going to go through the same process. Your child will have a belt, okay? It will come with the uniform. If they buy a gi, the belt will come with it. But if you want to just buy only the belt, you're welcome to as well at graciekids.com. So they have their belt. Every 20 classes, you will give them a stripe on their belt. Okay? And then, once they've earned all 4 stripes, the same way that we do here at the Academy, you will digitally record their performance of a belt qualification test, white, yellow belt qualification test. They're going to take this test, you're going to upload the video to graciekids.com, and we're going to watch it. And if they look like they're having fun, if it looks like they've had 80 classes of knowledge and technique, guess what? We're going to mail the belt to your house to be awarded to the child. They're going to be stoked. So they need that They need that short-term goal to work towards. Now, tracking progress. You need a jiu-jitsu journal in which all classes your child does, they should write it down. The date and maybe the class number. Day 1, we did it on this date. Class 2, class 3, class 4, class 20, stripe. You give them their stripe. 20 more, 20 more, 20 more, stripes all the way. And after 80 classes, send in the videos.
This journal right here is going to keep them, when they get their first stripe and they see how they're working towards their second stripe, this is going to keep them asking. They're hungry now. This is going to inspire so much.
Here at the Academy, we have cards. Not journals, but a card. And this card depicts how many stripes they have, how many classes they have, how many classes it takes for the next stripe. So kids are like, the anticipation of the next stripe is like the most exciting thing. You wouldn't believe it. Like, Henner, I got 3 more classes before my next stripe. It's incredible. Kids need that. Okay? So there's the process. Track their progress, film it. Now, of course, later in the program, we will demonstrate the exact process of the belt test. Our younger brother Horan goes through the whole test so you can see what we'll expect of your child when the time comes.
My name is Horan Gracie. I'm 10 years old and I'm bulletproof.
Good, drive. I'm going home. It's time for me to go. Good. Nice. The key thing to understand is that once your child qualifies for their white yellow belt, right? Of course, the expectation of a white yellow belt at 4 years old is completely different than the expectation of a white yellow belt.
That's 11.
Yeah, because 80 classes will affect them completely different. So the key to understand is that there's no correlation between the courses and the belts. In that a 4-year-old who, and by the way, the youngest age they should test for a belt is 4 years old. A 3-year-old child doesn't even know what's going on. They can play the games at 2 and 3 years old, but testing has no effect on them. Now at 4, they'll know what's going on, they can learn, and they're allowed to submit a video. Before then, hold off, just play for fun. So a 4-year-old at 80 classes will obviously produce one result, but a 12-year-old or an 8-year-old with 80 classes will produce another. A 4-year-old might only test with just the Gracie games after 80 classes, whereas an 8-year-old might learn all the Gracie games and half the junior combatives course when they test for their white yellow belt. Whereas a 12-year-old might know all the Gracie games, all the junior combatives, and even some of the adult Gracie combatives techniques when they test for their white yellow belt. So there's no correlation between belts and courses. Very important. Number 2 consideration, when they test for their follow-up belts, white yellow belt, the next belt is full yellow belt. The understanding there, although there might be some new techniques there, understand that we're not judging or testing your child based on the number of techniques they know, more so how well they know them. And when they submit a follow-up test, our judge as to whether or not they qualify for that next belt will come from one place only. How well? From their previous test, basically. So it's a solo race. Your child won't be compared to another 8-year-old or 12-year-old white or full yellow belt. They'll be compared to themselves when they earn their white yellow belt. So we're going to watch the previous video, then we're going to watch the new video. We're going to compare the two, and if we see 80 classes of progress, they'll earn their full yellow belt. But if we don't see that significant jump, and we know what 80 classes looks like,
Significant for every age is different.
everything's different.
So if it's a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, we know it's going to be a small jump.
And we're
That's
only going to
fine.
compare your child to your child. That's the key to understand here. So it's a solo race, we call it. But make sure that you go. 80 classes in between belt tests, video submissions. Now, most important thing, cheating the system. Let's say you only do 30 classes and you send in a test because you're eager to get that belt for your kid. Guess what?
We've seen so many kids that are 6, that are every age with every amount of classes, that we know how it looks.
Yes, not only it's gonna be hard to cheat the system because we're gonna see and know the quality isn't there. Number 1, so we know what a 4-year-old looks like and a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. But number 2, the main benefit of the belt system is the child develops a discipline and a work ethic, and understanding that hard work, persistent work, pays off. So 80 classes and you get a belt if you do well. 80 more classes, boom. 20 classes, stripe. So they learn that work and reward. Work and reward. Now, where else in their life are they getting that discipline? So we can assure you, if you try to cheat the system and submit a test before your child qualifies on the books, you're going to miss out on the greatest lesson and benefit that the belt system and the Gracie Bulletproof program has to offer, which is the discipline and the work ethic. Okay? If your child goes through it honestly through the whole system, with your help, of course, man, when they get into school, when they get into high school, when they get into the work, in the work world, in the society, they're going to be much more successful because they know that if they put in the work, the results will come. But if you cheat the system now, guess what? For the rest of their life, they're going to always try to find a way to do less and earn more. And work ethic. You got to be willing to work. Nothing comes for free. Don't let them have their belts for free, and you'll get that incredible benefit. Discipline, work ethic. Don't lose it. Why is it that kids grow up and somewhere around those teenage years, they rebel? Not every kid, but a lot. What causes that? There was a study done where researchers found that by the time a child is 12 years old, they've heard 60,000 no's
And 8,000 yeses.
60,000, 8,000.
So those 8,000 yeses are pretty much canceled out.
Yes,
And
completely.
they heard 52,000 no's. That's it.
Yes, that's
So they're just being compressed.
complete negativity. Everything is no, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. You're so negative. They hear so much negativity, so much of what they're doing is wrong, that when they finally have a choice, they're gone. They go out and they do drugs or whatever they do, that of course the parents wouldn't like them to do, but they do it anyways because they can and they're tired of being suppressed. Now, this isn't true in all cases, especially in our case. Why didn't we go crazy? Hidon and I. Kids, teenagers, grew right up, did our thing. I've never done drugs, never drank, and never chose any negative paths. Why not?
We heard the reverse. We probably heard 60,000 yeses. Hey, yes, good job. Very nice, amazing, keep it up. And 8,000 no's.
Now, the majority of those yeses came from jiu-jitsu with our father. It's called the critical connection. Beyond the self-defense aspect, we created a bond with our father, and there was such a positive bond and vibe for so long that when we finally had a chance to rebel, why rebel against positivity?
Against somebody who's constantly empowering us.
Yeah. The greatest influence.
He's hyping us all the
and
time.
Yes, the greatest source of happiness was that connection and the positivity. Why rebel against that? So, he led by example, a healthy lifestyle, told us things to do, and because he praised us so often, we listened. We listened. So use the jiu-jitsu to create that bond with your child with a lot of positivity so that later on, when they have a chance to rebel, they don't need to rebel because why rebel from something that you love, that loves you, makes you feel good, and is very positive. Now, if you don't have the jiu-jitsu and all you do is correct your child their whole life, guess what? When they have a chance, they may stray. They may rebel. Not a guarantee, but they may. So, better your chances, better your odds, establish that critical connection, and there's no need for rebellion. Besides the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, self-defense, the gift of self-defense that our Father gave us, the most valuable, maybe even more valuable than the self-defense itself, gift that He gave us is the healthy lifestyle.
And a big part of the lifestyle was what we eat and drink.
The Gracie diet. Now, we're not saying that the Gracie diet is the best or worst diet or it's right or wrong, but it was a plan, like the rules of engagement, it's a plan that we followed from a very young age. From a very early age, we chose. Yes, no, you can't eat this, you cannot eat this, these don't combine with each other. We were taught that from so young that later in life, when it came time to choose the right and wrong path, drugs or no drugs, I could easily say no to drugs because I could before say no to combining this food and this food. So there's a sense of right and wrong in consumption. And that discipline carried over into much more serious decisions and was an incredible gift. And of course, we're not saying that you have to follow the Gracie diet or your children have to, although you might want to look into it, of course. We're saying that give your child the gift of health. And that comes from living a healthy lifestyle yourself. The greatest thing our Father did for us was led by example. Okay? I never saw my Father drink, so I never drank. It was that simple. And everything he preached and taught us regarding food combination, eating healthy, he did. Priceless.
That's going to be tough for some parents.
Correct.
If you drink soda, we know soda's not good.
Yes.
There's all kinds of studies. It's going to be tough for you to stop.
But guess what? You want the best for your child. So for your child, it's worth making that change for their future. And today with, video games and fast food running the lives of our children,
It's like the two most popular things.
and the two worst things, because video games keep them from doing anything physical, and fast food has, pushed the child obesity rates through the roof. Only you can choose that path. And the connection you have with jiu-jitsu will, of course, make that, more. The connection is very strong and qualify you to guide them in the right direction, not to mention the fitness aspect of doing jiu-jitsu. If your child isn't particularly athletic and into sports, rolling around on the ground on a regular basis will give them a chance to, of course, work out and exercise in an extremely fun way. But equally, if not more important, is try to teach your child the healthy habits.
And as the child advances and gets better, they're going to start to like little workouts, little 15, 20-minute workouts. And you're going to explain, listen, drink this water right here or drink this instead of this because it's going to pay off in our training tomorrow.
Yes.
Make sure you get hydrated for tomorrow's training.
But
Let's eat a better meal. So,
Simply put, you can't do it. Your child will never do it unless you lead by example. It's that simple. So whatever you're willing to do, your child might do. Whatever you're not willing to do, your child will never do on their own. Very unlikely. They're going to follow your example. If you ask my father, or if you would have asked my grandfather before he passed, what's the most important thing? Of course, family. But besides family, they would say the only thing more important to them than jiu-jitsu is the healthy lifestyle and the eating habits, which is the Gracie diet. For us, it's the Gracie diet. For you, it might be something else. But all we can say is have a plan and teach that to your child. Because if you don't, nobody else will. Lead by example and get them started early on the right lifestyle. And they'll be forever grateful, of course, when they can finally appreciate what you've done for them. We are now, even when we were kids, we didn't always appreciate not being able to eat this or that, right? I wanted a little bit of junk sometimes. I wanted a little bit of candy. But my dad says, no, 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 no.
those were his no's.
Yes. But
Those
guess
were
what?
his no's.
As soon as we went to the mat and we grappled a little bit, I got so many yeses that it's okay. And now I realize that the greatest gift he gave me was the healthy lifestyle. Okay? And then, of course, the jiu-jitsu and everything thereafter. So, parents, I think you're ready. I think you're ready. Couple final tips. When you watch the classes that we conduct, be as concerned and as focused on
The techniques.
the techniques. Be very concerned on learning the moves, but be more concerned and focused on the things we don't say than what we do say. Watch how when the kids mess up, we say perfect and we let it slide.
Watch how even when we're on top of the kid, you can barely see the kid, and you see the kid's face, the kid's smiling.
Yes.
There's no uncomfortableness.
Nothing matters more than that they have fun. Okay? Parents, all the things we talked about in this course here, the parent preparation course, made a lot of sense to you. I'm sure they made sense. It's all common sense. Not common practice, but common sense. But the greatest advice is that as you begin training, go back and watch them all again. Review these teaching methodologies often, because each time you do, you'll get something new out of it that could further ensure your success as your child's teacher and guidance. You think they're ready?
Yeah, this is about to make you your child's best friend.
Yes, that's all you want.
This is what you want right now. You're about to be best friends with your child. And the question is, are you going to be best friends when the child turns 12 or 8 or 16 or 19 or 21? If the answer is yes, that's what I assume we all want.
Yes.
To be best friends with your child when the child's 23.
That's all you can hope for.
That's
All you can
27.
hope for is use jiu-jitsu to create that connection using all the teaching methodologies and be your child's best friend now. And then once they have a choice to go this way or stay here with you, they're going to stay.
They either will or they won't.
They're either your best friend. When they become of age, over 21, over 18, they're either your friend or they're not your friend.
And if you
Some
believe
families
that,
tear apart at that age.
if you believe that this, well, not necessarily tear apart, but there's just not that like,
Yes, it's not that connection anymore.
let's just say, oh, hey, son, whatever.
Because you're no longer their parent telling them no, 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 so they're gone.
The question is, do you believe that what we're offering is going to help
The connection.
the connection stay?
We think so. It worked for us with our father. Best friends. Okay? We were his sons before, but now now we're more like brothers. And my dad really likes to hear that. Okay? Especially when we're walking around and people ask, "Are you guys brothers?" My dad's like, "Yeah, we're brothers."
Yeah.
Makes him feel young. But the moral of the story is that the connection has to be established early. I think they're ready.
Okay?
Parents, go find your kids and ask them if they want to play a game, a Gracie game.